Good afternoon to you, and welcome to the live proceedings of the Senate. This being an afternoon sitting of the House on the 23rd day of May, the year being 2024. And equally, remember this broadcast is coming to you courtesy of the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation in conjunction with the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit. Through this collaboration, this particular live broadcast is streaming from Parliament buildings this afternoon. And to just take you through the highlights in the order of business this afternoon, we'll be having the Law of Succession Amendment Bill number 20 of the year 2023. This is an interesting bill, a bill by Senator Veronica Maina. In this particular bill, the Law of Succession Amendment Bill, the nominated senator seeks to have the House amend the Law of Succession Act to eliminate discrimination in distribution of property of the deceased. To achieve this, the bill seeks to amend Section 3, subsection 2 and repeal Section 3, subsection 3 of the Act, which the Kenyan courts have found discriminative against adopted children and children who have not been expressly recognized and accepted by their father. This will ensure that the Law of Succession Act complies with the provisions of Article 53 of the Constitution, which provides for the equal care, protection, and responsibilities towards children of both parents, regardless of their marital status. Allow me to take you deeper in this particular bill, which further seeks to protect children of the deceased whose mother was not a wife of the deceased by ensuring that they are considered as additional units and that they get their share of the estate that devolves to them at the time of succession. The bill also seeks to eliminate discrimination against widows as they lose life interest in their deceased spouse property upon remarriage, whereas widowers do not. Additionally, the Law of Succession Amendment Bill 2023 seeks to ensure that where the parents of the deceased are entitled to inherit their deceased child estate, both mother and the father receive an equal share of the estate. The bill also seeks to exclude community land from ambit of matters to do with succession. So away from the Land Succession Amendment Bill 2023, the House will this afternoon resume debate on the Houses of Parliament Bicameral Relations Bill. This is National Assembly Bills number 44 of the year 2023. Allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast of the Senate, brought to you by KBC in partnership with PBU. Enjoy your viewing and good afternoon.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to build with abundant favor and blessings as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Clerk, confirm whether we have quorum. Laying the quorum bell for 10 minutes. Sergeant at arms.
The Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Kasuri Murongi, currently presiding over the business of the Senate, has directed the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes to allow senators to make their way into the chamber this afternoon. And as we await for them to get into the chambers this afternoon, let's keep having a look at the order paper this afternoon in regards to the business for consideration, where the Senate will be resuming debate on the meteorology bill. This is Senate Bills number 45 of the year 2023. During the debate on this particular bill, senators were calling for establishment of meteorology departments across the 47 counties to guide Kenyans in regards to matters weather patterns. The National Construction Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 59 of the year 2022, is another bill lined up for debate this afternoon, after which the senators will be moving into division upon the conclusion of the time allocated for this bill. The other bills is the Nuts and Oils Crop Development Bill, Senate Bills number 47 of the year 2023, by nominated Senator Hamida Kibwana. The Committee of the Whole will this afternoon consider the Gambling Control Bill. This is a bill from the National Assembly, Bill number 70 of the year 2023, as well as the Tea Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of the year 2023 by Senator Hilary Sigei. Equally lined up for consideration under the Committee of the Whole is the Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Bill. This is Senate Bills number 17 of the year 2023 by Senator Beatrice Ogola. The report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the status of implementation of projects funded by conditional grants for the construction of the county headquarters is a motion that senators will be resuming debate on this afternoon. This motion is by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Matters Finance and Budget. And equally lined up for debate is the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill. This is Senate Bills number 10 of the year 2024 by the Senate leader of the majority party. And person to standing orders number 51, 52, subsection 1. The Senator for Mandera County, Senator Ali Ibrahim Roba, will be making a statement concerning the devastation caused by heavy rains and flooding in several member states of the Forums of Parliament of the International Conference of the Great Lakes Region. On matters seeking statements, Standing Orders number 53, subsection 1, the Senator for Nandi County, Senator Samson Cherargei, will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations concerning the fight against alcohol and drug substance abuse. Agnes Kavindu Mudhama, the Senator for Machakos County, will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the alleged illegal acquisition of land earmarked. This particular land had been earmarked for the public utilities in Syokimau Estate in Machakos County. Senator William Kisang, the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet County, will be seeking a statement from the Committee on Matters Agriculture and Livestock as well as Fisheries concerning the delayed payments to dairy farmers by the Kenya Cooperative Creameries, popularly known as KCC. And the Senate leader of the majority party, will be issuing a statement on the business of the Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, 28th of May 2024. This statement is pursuant to Standing Orders number 57, subsection 1. Our dear viewers, by the end of this week, now that is Thursday, the House will be proceeding on recess, and we'll be expecting that particular communication or statement rather during this afternoon sitting. A number of papers are set to be tabled on the floor of the House. Among them is the report of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, on the activities and the financial statements for the financial year 2022-2023. The Climate Change Carbon Markets Regulations Legal Notice number 84 of the year 2024, as well as the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Gatanga Water and Sanitation Company Limited for the year ended June 30th, 2023. These are papers and better the reports that will be laid on the table of the House this afternoon by the Senate Majority Leader. The House this afternoon is set to consider the report of the Standing Committee on Matters Finance and Budget on the status of implementation of projects funded by the conditional grants for the construction of county headquarters. And away from that particular motion, the other motion is a resumption of debate that was interrupted on the 30th of April this year on the report of the Select Committee on County Public Accounts on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of West Pokot County Assembly for the financial year 2018-2019 and the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Isiolo, Kiambu, Kitui, Marsabit, Narok, Nyamira, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, and Muranga County Assemblies. This report by the Auditor General is for the financial year 2019-2020. This report that will be debated by the House this afternoon is by the Committee on Matters Public Accounts Committee.
The first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next one.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable Senators, Honourable Senators, Honourable Senators. We have a visiting teachers and students from Kituro High School in Baringo County. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from Kituro High School in Baringo County. The delegation comprises 3 teachers and 97 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. I will request the Deputy Majority Leader to welcome the visitors from Rift Valley, Baringo County. That's 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for give me the opportunity to welcome the Baringo students. Baringo and Nakuru, I think Nakuru County was one. That was then it was one. So I think I'm happy to welcome them. And I know it's a very good school. And Baringo is a very beautiful county. It's a tourist also destination like Nakuru is. We welcome you. I know your senator may not have come, but I welcome you on behalf of them. And you are the future for tomorrow. So learn what you've come to learn from here. And I can guarantee you have the best opportunity, as during our time we didn't have this opportunity that you're having. Take use of that opportunity and become the next leaders come your time. All the best, and thank you very much, and most welcome to the Senate. Asante.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, 23rd May 2024. The Climate Change Carbon Markets Regulations Legal Notice number 84 of 2024, report of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, on activities and financial statements for the financial year 2022-2023. Report of the Auditor General on financial statements of Gatanga Water and Sanitation Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2023. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Under Standing Order 52.1, the Senator for Mandera County, Senator Liloba, has a statement to make concerning the devastation caused by the heavy rains and flooding in several member states of the FPICGLR. Yes, proceed.
Ali Roba is my chair for finance and budget.
But that matter is nothing to do with the finance. It's a different matter.
Very correct, but it's in that honor that I do so.
In the spirit.
That's the spirit, Chair.
Okay, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the Senator Ali Roba for Mandera, a statement pursuant to Standing Order 52.1 concerning the devastation caused by the heavy rains and flooding in several member states of the Great Lakes region. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Forum of Parliamentarians of the member states of the International Conference on Great Lakes region is an interparliamentary organization composed of 12 national parliamentarians of the ICGLR member states, namely the Republic of Angola, the Republic of Burundi, the Central African Republic, the Republic of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Kenya, Republic of Rwanda, Republic of South Sudan, Republic of Sudan, the United Republic of Tanzania, the Republic of Uganda, and the Republic of Zambia. The main objective of the FPICGRL is to make a significant parliamentary contribution to the implementation of the Pact on Security, Stability, and Development in the Great Lakes region. Mr. Speaker, the FPICGLR is deeply saddened by the recent reports of widespread devastation caused by heavy rains and flooding in some of its member states, resulting in the loss of hundreds of lives and displacements of thousands of others. The FP-ICGRL has noted with grief that the recent floods have claimed the lives of over 400 people, displaced more than 234,000 people within the Republic of Kenya, with the Republic of Kenya being the most affected country, with at least 228 reported deaths. Mr. Speaker, the disaster has highlighted that the Great Lakes region susceptibility to the impacts of the climate change and is a reminder for the regional and international community at large, alongside ICGRL member states and parliamentarians, to come together to play their role, to support long-term efforts to help communities to adapt to these changes. Displacement in climate change fuel crisis is already a global reality, a reality that reflects and implies the deep inequalities and injustices. The climate crisis exacerbates vulnerability, leading to displacement, which affects inter alia the rights to a decent standard of living, health, and education for those displaced. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, at the just concluded 14th ordinary session of the Plenary Assembly and related meetings of the FPICGRL, which took place from 15th to 19th April 2024 in Livingstone, Zambia, the role of the Parliament in adapting to climate change in the Great Lake regions was the theme of the event. This theme would not have come at a better time considering the recent weather changes owing to climate change. The discussions revolved around recognizing and addressing the impact of climate change within the Great Lakes region. The Plenary Assembly underscored the pivotal role of parliamentarians in the foundation of crucial decisions and effective solutions for adaptation and climate actions in the region. This shows the endeavor of the region to tackle the challenges presented by the climate change. In conclusion, the forum extends its heartfelt condolences and stands in solidarity with the governments, parliaments and people of Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi, who are currently grappling with the devastating effects of the heavy rains and flooding. Senator Ali Roba, Senator for Mandera County.
Thank you. Senator Sos, do you want to make a comment on this statement?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this statement is very important and very timely, talking about matters of heavy rains and flooding within the Great Lakes region. Mr. Speaker, the issue of flooding has not just affected Kenya, but indeed quite a number of countries have been affected. In fact, last year, we had a very serious problem in Malawi. We had a very serious problem in Mozambique. And I think this is a wake-up call that Africa needs to take matters of climate change very seriously. Because this flooding is one of the consequences of the effect of climate change. So Africa countries, Kenya included, needs to take the issue of climate change very seriously, issues of afforestation very seriously, and issues of human interference to critical water catchment areas very seriously. So this statement by the Chair of Finance is very timely, and how I wish that the countries that are members of this forum would have a collective response towards matters of climate change, matters of flooding in our region. And most importantly, Mr. Speaker, the issue of how to deal with the humanitarian situation that arises as a result of this flooding. I saw on TV that some countries which have been affected have been unable to deal with the humanitarian situation that has arisen out of this crisis. So how I expected that this, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Edokech,
Members
What's
are
your point of
consulting loudly.
Heard that no member shall be standing in the house unless they are speaking, and I'm seeing a lot of members in the other side standing and is making this place a market. It is interfering with my friend Senator Ososi, Mr. Speaker. Can you help protect him?
Yes, Honorable Senators, if you look at the standing orders keenly, you'll understand how you should conduct yourselves in the House. Especially when a member is up and making his contribution. No other senator should be studying at that particular time. And also conversing on the areas. You shouldn't sit down and discuss with your colleague. So thank you, Senator Andy, for bringing these members to order. Senator Soos, proceed and conclude.
Mr. Speaker, you know members are excited because Senator Keroche is putting on ODM colors. So, and Azimio and ODM colors. So I think they're excited about that. Welcome home, Senator Keroche. So, Mr. Speaker, allow me to wind up my contribution on this to say that humanitarian situation in some countries is wanting, and how this forum should seek for support from the global community on addressing the humanitarian situation arising from flooding and related risks. So, Mr. Speaker, this statement is timely, and I want to support the statement by my friend Robert, who has been very, very, very vocal on matters of division of revenue to support against the proposal of 1 man, 1 shilling. But Mr. Speaker, we'll have an opportunity to talk about this because the other regions will also have a say. It is not a matter of Mount Kenya and Northern Kenya alone. Other regions will also have a say on how we want our revenue to be shared. So, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Onyonka Richard.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to reiterate what my brother Ososi has raised about the important matters affecting our environment, the issues of flooding. The reality on the ground is that, Mr. Speaker, we actually do not know whether we are going to have a typhoon, whether we are going to have excessive amounts of rainfall and all that. I think it's something that this House, I believe, Mr. Speaker, the House has to be engaged and seized on this matter. And I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, that even when my colleagues have discussed issues about what is supposed to be done in relation to global warming and the challenges coming out of it, Mr. Speaker, I feel that our country is not prepared for eventualities like this. And I would like to persuade my colleagues who sit in the Environmental Committee in the Senate to engage themselves and make sure that we can even set up a task force which is supposed to be engaged and discussing, because many of our areas within the rural areas, leave alone Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, where our people live, we are having challenges, and it looks like nobody is quite aware or nobody is going to give a way forward on what we should do. Mr. Speaker, if you discuss issues pertaining to emergency funding, whether the county government should engage, what are the percentages, emergency funding from the national government, we don't have clarity on those matters. So I would wish and hope that this House can engage itself proactively and set up a committee which, Mr. Speaker, I would recommend that it stays in office the whole final year, whether it means we draft a legislation on that. I think it's an important part that in our country, Mr. Speaker, we now need to have an emergency committee, if possible, which will be given assignments, not emergency when we are having floods only. Chairman, you notice we have people who die because of these emergencies, whether it's a building collapsing, whether it is vehicles, for example, when the vehicles are running and ramming into each other, Mr. Speaker. So these are things that I think we need to proactively engage ourselves. And I say thank you for giving me this opportunity. I wanted to agree with Honorable Sotsi that I give my chairman, Honorable Roba, credit and immense credit, and my vice chair who was not able to pronounce herself, but she quietly whispered to me that she agrees with me. We cannot discuss, Chair, issues pertaining to one man, 1 shilling, 1 vote without looking at all the Kenyans and what they think and what they view. Otherwise, we will consider it a nullity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sigei Wakiri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to also applaud the Honorable Chairperson of the Finance Committee for such a timely statement, because the situation of not only the places that have been affected by the heavy rains is bad, but it has affected entirely the whole country. We are talking about schools. Some of them are yet to open. Some of them might not open because the entire structure of such institutions have been washed away or are still in flooded areas. We're talking about roads, Mr. Speaker, which are no longer accessible. The road all the way from Maimayu running through Narok to Bomet, where I represent, for a very long time, have been a victim of such situations. And considering the fact that this has affected almost entire economic of the country, we are saying, as we look through the mitigation measures that the country and the government is taking, as members of this House, as members of the public, as environmentalists, we should now continue with the conversation about the effects of climate change. And as we deal with the issue of planting trees that the Kenya Kwanza government is pushing, it is a long term. What options do we have in the short term to ensure that we support the effects of climate change, and we also make sure that we are prepared in such situations? As we speak right now, Mr. Speaker, the other day, the typhoon that went through some areas in the coastal region has taken away lives of people. Were we not prepared? Had we been notified? What action did we take? So, Mr. Speaker, this particular statement is very, very timely, and it helps us to look beyond just the rain. Let us also look at other devastating natural calamities that could come along the way. We are being warned that after the rains, after July, there is a possibility of long dry spell, and that should also sound warning to the government, to all those who are responsible, to make sure that in terms of preparedness, in terms of reaching out for partners to support, we utilize the resources so that when that time comes, we are not got in a situation where we are unable to support, we are unable to protect ourselves, and we are unable to sustain the livelihoods of the very vulnerable people, those in school and other places who need the support because of the situation that they will get themselves into. So to the chairperson of Finance Committee, who is a member and who is a member of that very important committee, we say we look forward to having everyone being involved in supporting such a very important statement. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I want to give a few other senators, but now I need timing for just 2 minutes. A comment on a statement, we don't need a lot of time. Those who have spoken before this decision is made are very lucky indeed. So time for me 2 minutes. Senator Okechendi.
Chair, you timing me, but it's okay. Chair, I think that the first thing I wanted to say, Mr. Speaker, the first thing I want to say, I know you're my chair also in the mediation, is that I wish that anything that takes away property and anything that takes away the life of our people can be declared a national disaster. Just the same way we saw the magnitude of handling of COVID being a national disaster. These are the time that we expected that these floods would be treated with the same magnitude as we would treat any invasion in the country. And this is why we even wished we could have seen people in the Ministry of Environment and even the Honorable Soipan Tuya being able to do a proper update of what is going on in the country. I know that there are senators here that I'm empathizing with, like Senator Mungatana, who, just like in Migori, is facing a lot of challenges with the floods and disasters in his county, which is not brought to the national, awareness. And I know a number of senators also who are affected in different counties. Mr. Speaker, where I come from in Migori County, it forms one of the rural counties that don't get a proper highlight of the effect of these floods. And sometimes people just think that these floods happen only in well-developed, infrastructure. But the disruption of infrastructure, even in rural communities, Mr. Speaker, is very massive. For instance, if you go to Nyatike, you will find that a place like Luanda, Konyango, and if you go to a place called Modi, people there do not have even a life. And if this was declared a national disaster, a place like Luanda, Modi, Kabuto in Nyatike would have been considered for some serious interventions, like even building dikes and polders in those areas, Mr. Speaker. But even if you come to a place like Uriri, Mr. Speaker, you'll find a place like in North Kanyamkago, which is a ward in Uriri constituency, Mr. Speaker, you'll find
Okay, let me give you 30 seconds, but make sure whoever gets the chance to time the 2 minutes, kindly. Maybe you 30 seconds to conclude your statement.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, those areas, I think that what I wanted to encourage senators to look at for those interventions is that there are monies that are stuck like FLOCA. Migori County has gotten about 83 million. But there are counties that I know in this house that have not gone and gotten their money for FLOCA. Kiambu, where my friend Senator Tangwa comes from, their money is LDA of 103 million that could be able to help people intervene in different areas. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the issue of emergency funds must be run properly because there are some emergency funds that are holding a lot of cash. Senator of Nyeri, your county has got 20 million in emergency fund that is not utilized, because there is no proper legal framework to utilize that money. Let us look at emergency fund, and even in Machakos, there's a lot of money that is lying that needs to be looked at and can be able to help in terms of accessing FLOCA. And notoriously, Nairobi hasn't received money for FLOCA. And this is where most people are suffering, yet people's houses are being destroyed, but the county government of Nairobi hasn't organized itself, Governor Sakaja, to organize his people to come and take that money and intervene for our people who are in Madare, for our people who are in Mukuru Kwenjenga, for our people who are in Embakasi East and in Embakasi South. So these are things that senators, we should be able to push our governors to start supporting them to get that cash. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wakoli Wafula.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa nafasi hii. Ningependa tu kuendelea na mchakato wa majadiliano kuhusiana na fedha za dharura ama changamoto za dharura ambazo zinakumba nchi hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni jambo la muhimu jumba kama hili la Senate, kando na kuzungumza kila uchao kuhusiana na utepetevu wa serikali za kaunti kupambana na majanga haya, lazima tumulike matumizi ya fedha hizi ambazo zimewekwa katika bajeti za kaunti tunazotoka. Mheshimiwa Spika, unaweza kujionea kwamba maeneo mbalimbali hupata majanga ya moto. Kufumba na kufumbua kabla ya wawekezaji kuzima moto huu, moto huwa umechoma kila kitu na unapata magari ya uzima moto yanakuja baadaye masaa 12 baada ya majanga kuharibu mali ya umma. Na ukifuata vitabu vya hesabu, Mheshimiwa Spika, unapata kuna fedha zimekuwa zikitumika kudhibiti ama kwa madai kwamba wamekuwa wanadhibiti hali hizi. Mimi naomba Senate, Mheshimiwa Spika, naomba uamrishe viongozi wenzangu wawe na nidhamu katika jumba. Yule anayeomba, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kiongozi wa walalahoi. Mheshimiwa Spika, nashukuru kwa nafasi hii na ninaomba tu kwamba katika msimu huu wa mvua nyingi,
kutoka kwa seneta wa Mombasa.
Sihitaji mwelekeo wake, Mheshimiwa Spika.
Hoja yako ni gani ya nidhamu?
Seneta Bifoli Wakoli. Lakini naona kwamba anazungumzia mambo ya moto na zima moto, wakati taarifa iliyoletwa bungeni ya Seneta Roba ni kuhusiana na mafuriko.
Seneta Wakoli.
Ni kuzungumzia mafuriko na tabia nchi inavyoathiri nchi zetu na nchi za bonde la kati. Thank you.
Kwa nidhamu sijui haijatosha kuwa hoja ya nidhamu. Kwa hivyo endelea, Mheshimiwa Wakoli. Ilikuwa ujumbe unafahamishana, sio?
Tangu Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, jinsi nilivyokuwa naashiria, seneta mkubwa wangu yaonekana amekuwa nasinzia nilipokuwa nadondoa hoja zangu. Mheshimiwa Spika, ndio koko naalika maua. Mheshimiwa Spika, mafuriko nchini humu, Mheshimiwa Spika, yameathiri familia nyingi. Jana jioni katika eneo bunge la Mlima Elgon, eneo wadi ya Chesikaki, kumekuwa na poromoko wa ardhi ambao uliwafunika jamii watu 4 na mmoja kupata majeruhi makubwa sana. Sasa mambo ya mafuriko tunaelewa, na ni lazima serikali za kaunti ziweze kuwajibika kwa fedha ambazo tunapeleka mashinani na ziweze kuonekana zinafanya kazi. Isiwe kwamba ni fedha ambazo zinajukumika kuwafurahisha na kuwafanya viongozi kuishi maisha ya starehe. Sasa mimi naomba jumba la Senate kutoka sasa tuweze.
Seneta Wambua.
Thank you, the Speaker. The Speaker, I want to also join my colleagues to thank and congratulate Senator Ali Ibrahim Roba for bringing this statement. And just say a few things, the Speaker. The Speaker, first of all, let us agree that climate change is real. And the effects of climate change, the Speaker, are being felt across the region. And that's the point at which, the Speaker, I must add that expecting that county governments will be able to use the meager emergency funds to respond to effects of climate change is actually courting disaster. The Speaker, I am reminded that just a few days ago, we had a serious landslide in Kiambu, and we lost lives there. Yesterday, continuing today, we have very strong winds in our coasts, and we have lost lives there. So, Speaker, we are reminded of the things that have happened in Naivasha and in Nairobi. We know the situation that is obtaining in Tana River. So, Speaker, there is need for concerted national efforts to deal with this matter in a more proactive manner. Because, the Speaker, it has become the norm that we expect every time it rains, there will be disaster in Tana River, there will be disaster in Kano, there will be disaster in Naivasha. But why can't we adopt a proactive approach in dealing with disasters caused by floods and heavy rains.
No, it's I think the timing is, you time after 1 minute, you put land. Just 30 seconds, conclude.
Let me, Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that, Mr. Speaker, we have a climate caucus in this Senate led by Senator Moses Kajwang. I want to urge members to join that caucus for purposes of giving more and better direction on how to deal with if heavy rains. I'm told, Mr. Speaker, and I believe it, that in the next 4 months, from June to September, we are going to be having heavy rains at the coast region. What are we doing in preparation to deal with that eventuality when it happens? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, you know the traditions of Parliament allow ranking members to be given priority. Now I'm comparing between two senators, Senator Chalagay Samson and Senator Andan Nduro Fatuma. And now I've realized that Senator Chalagay is a junior to Senator Fatuma Nduro. So Senator Fatuma Nduro, you have the floor. The junior can wait.
What is out of order? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm really happy about this decision, and I hope it will continue in future. Mr. Speaker, let me thank Senator Roba for this statement. I am really disappointed with the government in these particular issues of climate change. Mr. Speaker, it has become a song, year in, year out, as far as the floods are concerned, as far as droughts are concerned. It's a song every day we sing. Mr. Speaker, I must thank the government on whatever intervention they are doing. But that is nothing compared to the challenges Kenyans are going through, Mr. Speaker. Running around with 1 bag or 2 bags of maharagwe and mchele, I mean, it's not helping our people. We must have a proper strategy of ensuring, Mr. Speaker, that we have solved this problem once and for all. Kenyans are losing lives. Some of us in pastoral communities, we normally lose animals during drought. We lose animals during rainy season. I mean, we have a lot of challenges. Mr. Speaker, I think those who are actually closer to the power, this time round, Mr. Speaker, they should be able to advise the government of the day that we need a solution. We have children who have not gone to school. We have actually kids who have not paid school fees. And all those schools are left on their own.
Senator, order, senators, order, senators. Senator Chalagay Samson.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I think, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree that the issue of climate change continues to be a very challenging times, even in the developed countries, Mr. Speaker. While we agree there are challenges, we should be careful in how we make our comments in this House so that we don't mislead the public. The issue of managing disasters is a concurrent function. As a Senate, we should be telling the country what our counties are doing in terms of disaster. It's not an exclusive function of the national government. So let us not make comments for political expediency or social media attention, Mr. Speaker, but let us make comments that will assist our people. While we agree there are challenges in implementing, and the government has done largely, you are aware, Mr. Speaker, the pet project of His Excellency Dr. William Ruto government and Kenya Kwanza government and His Excellency Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Kenya Kwanza government is on the issue of climate change, Mr. Speaker. And the counties must also take their rightful share. 2% of the financial budget to every county goes to disaster mitigation and management, Mr. Speaker. I expect Lands and Environment and Natural Committee and also Finance and Budget to present the reaction and action by county government in terms of mitigating disaster across the region. Mr. Speaker, while we empathize and sympathize with many Kenyans who have lost their loved ones and many we are seeing, we want also to ask Meteorological Department to be predictable, because we are seeing winds in the coastal region. We are seeing unprecedented level of floods, Mr. Speaker. But I want to assure the nation that through the office of the Deputy President, which has been assigned the role of disaster mitigation and management, Mr. Speaker, senators in this House, you cannot have your cake and eat it, should go back to their counties, Mr. Speaker. In conclusion,
Senators, we should conclude this matter, but I'm interested to give the senator for Tana River, because he is very much affected by the floods, maybe to make his comment, and then we can go to the other statements.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to thank you so much for accommodating me, and I will just be 2 minutes. Mr. Speaker, yesterday we spent the better part with a very hard-working minister called Cabinet Secretary Malonza. Penina Malonza, Mr. Speaker, toured the entire Tana River, all the 3 constituencies, and we were accompanied by the area members of parliament, distributing food, Mr. Speaker, to various places. So I want to stand here to say that I am very happy with the work that some of our female ministers are doing in the cabinet of William Ruto. Mr. Speaker, as compared to CS Machogu, who has never stepped in Tana River County, I wonder what is happening with the Ministry of Education. We went to several camps, Mr. Speaker, and the minister herself was almost in tears, Mr. Speaker, because at least 30 schools have been swallowed up in the constituency of Garsen alone. In Makere Milelulu, the school is being broken. If you go to a place like Mgarashi, Mr. Speaker, you will find this entire villages, Mr. Speaker, have been buried. To come to Tana River. Mr. Speaker, it is wrong for cabinet secretaries to operate on theory when the country is suffering as it is. So, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to tell Bwana Machogu, please wake up and come to Tana River County. We are suffering and we need the...
Senator Mungatana, I'll only do 1 minute, but first listen to me. I'll only do 1 minute. So have your seat, because I want to give you some advice. Of course, Senator Mungatana, you know how to get the CSs in this floor anytime you need them. So I will request that if there are issues in Tana River, kindly make sure that you do a question very fast for the CS to appear before the Senate, so that, because now he has no advantage of coming to this floor. So I might decline that 1 minute, Senator Mungatana, because you should be attentive to the chair and listen to my advice. So don't mention the CSM, because you have powers to bring him to this Senate. Proceed, 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I'm just saying, here is a minister who is aware of the disaster, and I'm not mentioning any names. He's aware of the disaster that is affecting the education sector, and he's not bothered to come to Tana River County. And yet, there is another cabinet fellow who is moving day and night, Mr. Speaker, to assist us. So, Mr. Speaker, I am urging that the Ministry of Education should wake up. Our children are having a problem, yes, and they should wake up.
What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I'm standing under point order number 1. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to plead with the chair that, Mr. Speaker...
Sorry, Senator Hedy, due Do you have powers to exercise under number 1 yourself?
To issue courage, too, Mr. Speaker, and also under 101 in the speaker in the content of speech of my colleague Senator Mungatana. You see, Mr. Speaker, the issue of flood that we are discussing, Mr. Speaker, some of these things, the ultimate interventions lie with the cabinet secretaries, and to some extent what Senator Chajoy has said, executives in the counties. If we don't call them out on this floor, just because we are waiting for them to be called out during questions, Mr. Speaker, we are doing a disservice to them, not even to us. Because if you don't question them in the laziness that they are having on serious issues that are affecting this country, Mr. Speaker, I'm just requesting you to allow Senator Mungatana to call out these ministers, to call them out for not effectively taking their role in responding to this crisis. Because if you stifle that conversation on
Senator
Mungatana,
Senator Eddie, you have made your point.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Mungatana, conclude.
I'm concluding, Mr. Speaker, by saying we appreciate the work some of the cabinet secretaries are doing. But we please want to ask some of the other cabinet secretaries who are sitting in Nairobi, please come out. Education, education, education. Please come out and visit and tell us what we shall do with the children who are in camps. Come with canvas, because the teachers are ready. By the way, I congratulate teachers who are working in these hardship areas. They are ready, they have come, but they cannot, you cannot do anything under the circumstances that the children are. We want to ask for the cabinet secretary to use the power and his authority to make sure that those areas that have camps, that the children are having education under at least those matarbales, so that the teachers who are ready to teach can go and occupy these children. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, we shall lose a whole generation, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the statements under 53.1. The Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet has requested deferment of his statement. So we go to Senator for Machakos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request for statement on acquisition of land set for public utilities in Syokimau Estate in Machakos County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Lands, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the illegal acquisition of, by private individuals of the land set for public utilities in Syokimau Estate in Machakos County. In the statement, the committee should, one, cause an inquiry into the acquisition by private individuals of parcels numbers 12715/190, 12715/267, 12715/207, 12715/255 and 12715/256, 12715/409, 12715/440 and 12715/447 and 12715/700, located in Syokimau Farm Limited, Syokimau Mavoko Sub-County, Machakos County, providing details of the current owners and indicate how they acquired the said parcels of land meant for public utilities. 2, state reasons of the delay by the National Land Commission to conclude investigation on the disputed parcels and provide timelines for these conclusions. And 3, spell out the plans, if any, by the government to construct public schools and other social amenities in the area. Senator Agnes Gavindo Mudhama, MP, Machakos County. Thank you.
Senator Samson Chelagay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request for statement on the status of the fight against alcohol and drug substance abuse in Kenya. So, Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on the fight against alcohol and drug substance abuse. In the statement, the committee should, one, Mr. Speaker, detail the current state of fight against alcohol and drug abuse in the country, detailing the number of companies and alcoholic products that have been banned from the market. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, outline the measures the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NACADA, has put in place to curb substance abuse and avoid future recurrence of the vice. Number 3, state the number of perpetrators that have been apprehended and prosecuted, providing the number of court cases either completed or ongoing. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, shed light on the measures taken by the State Department for Internal Security and National Administration to support addicts through rehabilitation centers, indicating the number of addicts that have been assisted and those have been recovered from drug abuse since the beginning of the fight. So, Speaker, number 5, disclose which counties are most affected, explaining the roles played by the county governments in the fight against alcoholism and substance abuse. And finally, Mr. Speaker, state whether the ministry collaborated with relevant youth agencies to set youth programs and activities to engage them in positively eradicating drug abuse and alcohol among the young or the youths in this country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next is Senator George Bugwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the status of the tourism sector in the country. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide data on the tourist facilities that have closed down over the past 3 years and state the reasons for the closure. And 2, elucidate on the performance of the sector over the last 3 years, highlighting investments into the sector and any measures put in place to promote recovery of the sector post the COVID-19 pandemic. And 3, outline any strategies put in place to promote investments in and diversification of tourist products, as well as to support medium, small, and micro enterprises operating in the sector. And 4, stating any measures put in place to enhance sustainability of the tourism in light of the emerging and existential threats to tourism, such as climate change, terrorism, and human-wildlife conflicts, among others. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Andrew Mtata. Yes.
Let's touch me one. Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53(1) to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the mismanagement of the cooperative funds in the Kenya Union of Savings and Credit Cooperatives, KUSCO. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the circumstances that led to the loss of cooperative savings over a period of 10 years as depicted by the recent audit undertaken by the Ministry of Cooperatives and micro, small, and medium enterprises development. 2, disclose the regulatory and oversight measures the ministry undertook in respect of Cusco to address and prevent mismanagement of funds over the 10-year period. 3, report on the status of compliance by Cusco over the past 10 years in keeping proper books of accounts, undertaking annual audits, and submitting annual returns to the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs Development. 4, provide the loan portfolio of Cusco, including a breakdown of the loans advanced to the board of directors and senior staff that were dismissed following the findings in the special audit commissioned by the ministry in October 2023. 5, indicate the status of the undischarged fixed deposits to members that fell due but had not been duly remitted as of the date of the audit report. And lastly, 6, detail actions taken by the ministry to recover the funds alleged to have been misappropriated by the board of directors and senior staff, and measures to ensure that such misappropriation does not occur in the cooperative sector. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. That's my statement.
Senator David Wakoli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Request for statement on the current status of staff at Kenya Seed Company headquarters. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding staff at the management level at Kenya Seed Company. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a detailed report of personnel at management level, including the current heads of departments at the Kenya Seed Company, their academic and professional qualifications, employment dates, the employment terms and disaggregated into contracts, permanent and pensionable, as well as casual staff, further highlighting the ethnic composition within each category. 2, state the criteria used for the recruitment and appointment of senior management staff at the company. And 3, present documented evidence regarding the extent to which the current workforce of Kenya Seed Company adheres to the legal requirements regarding regional and ethnic diversity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Wahome wa Matinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the waiver of visa requirements for persons traveling into Kenya visa-free policy. In the statement, the committee should, 1, outline the regulatory and oversight measures the State Department for Immigration and Citizen Service has put in place to ensure that visa-free policy is not abused and does not pose security risks to the country. 2, provide a statistical analysis detailing the impact of the policy has had on trade, industrialization, and tourism sectors in the country. 3, disclose the total revenue generated by the government since the commencement of the policy on 1st January 2024. 4, state measures put in place to ensure compliance by travelers with the requirements of entry into Kenya. And 5, explain the challenges in operationalizing the policy, such as reiterations from countries that previously enjoyed visa exemptions to enter Kenya and the measures in place to address such challenges. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I want to give a few, 2 or 3 members to make a comment on these statements. I start with Senator Deputy Majority Rinda, Senator Keroche, Tabitha. Yes, Senator Chelge.
Mr. Speaker, just an issue of national importance. I wanted to raise under Standing Order number 1, and I beg your indulgence, and Article 41 on labor rights. Mr. Speaker, you remember yesterday, out of your indulgence, I read a statement on junior secondary schools in Tans, where they are currently on industrial action, wanting to be transited from internship to permanent and pensionable. Reading section, is it 35 of Public Service Act, so Speaker, provides that no one should act beyond 6 months. That is the law, and you remember most of interns have acted more than that time. So Speaker, yesterday I received information, and I wanted your indulgence, since the Chair of Education, Senator Joe Newto, is here, and I wish he would be listening, that you direct, Mr. Speaker, that maybe next week, between Tuesday and Thursday, the Teacher Service Commission and the Cabinet Secretary of Education to appear, because, Mr. Speaker, I'm receiving information that Teacher Service Commission has issued letters, disciplinary letters to show cause to JSS interns who are rightfully undertaking their industrial action as per Article 41 on the labor practices, Mr. Speaker. Yet TSC has gone ahead and issued letters to show cause why. So, Mr. Speaker, I was requesting, because I had read my statement yesterday, your indulgence, that you direct at least the Education Committee should invite the TSC earliest opportunity, even by Tuesday, Mr. Speaker. You have the power. Even I remember in the last session, the former Speaker Emeritus directed a Cabinet Secretary to appear within 30 minutes. So I beg your indulgence. You can hear. I suspect they have come to present their memorandum at the gate of the Senate, Mr. Speaker. If you make a pronouncement on the direction, so that they also, Mr. Speaker, know that Senate is aware that GSS interns are undergoing problems, and TSC should avoid this issue of being draconian. We are not running a dictatorial country, dictatorial country, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
I've heard you, but I'm not aware whether that is JSS interns out there, unless you have a mechanism to know that they are the one who are out there. So I direct that you draft your question, and the secretary to be happy, the office of the clerk, to process your request. But you are. Give him 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying yesterday, your indulgence, you allow me to read a statement on the issue of JSS. Now, as we were reading that statement, TSC has issued show cause letters to all the GSS interns across the country. So I was requesting, since I had made that similar request yesterday, can you direct the Education Committee to invite the TSC and Ministry at least next week, so that I don't need to come back?
I've directed you to do your question, and then the office of the clerk will be very happy indeed to process it with the urgency that it deserves. But to be neater, you need to raise the matter through the official way. Otherwise, even the chair in education was not interested to know what you are talking about. So, Senator Cloche, I requested you to make your comment. Okay, Senator Oloba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to support the statement raised by Senator Cherargei on substance abuse and alcohol and the fight against the same, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and it's funny that we are even talking, that Cherargei has brought up the issue on the JSS, because, Mr. Speaker, in one of the questions that he's asking is to shed light on the measures being taken by the State Department of Internal Security and in the affected areas, Mr. Speaker. In most of these affected areas, Mr. Speaker, you'll find that even the issues that are being raised or that are making young men to go out and women to go out and drink, Mr. Speaker, is some of the frustrations, including what we are seeing with the JSS teachers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think we are also not getting the formula right, because In terms of the fight against alcohol abuse and substance abuse, Mr. Speaker, it is just assumed that people are drinking because they have nothing else to do, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of issues, underlying issues in the community, and I think this statement and the specific pointers that Cherargei is asking, both from NACADA and the Ministry of Interior and Security, Mr. Speaker, will shed some light. And Mr. Speaker, as much as we are not speaking about JSS, Mr. Speaker, this issue of the JSS teachers is literally an underlying issue that is being ignored, Mr. Speaker. And the fact that TSC is now trying to put disciplinary measures on people who are coming out to say that there's a problem, Mr. Speaker, I support what Cherargei is saying, that we need to summon these authorities, Mr. Speaker, so that they can come and tell us whether they want to deal with the issue of JSS or whether they want to keep punishing the teachers for coming out to speak up on what they need to fix, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I also support what Senator Mungatana was saying. It's only that you probably did not want to say, but Mr. Speaker, we call upon the Cabinet Secretary of Education to literally, the CS Machogu, to take some of these sentiments seriously, Mr. Speaker, because it is not an issue of whether he's available or not, but every part of Kenya must actually be given priority, Mr. Speaker. Even Tana River County, Mr. Speaker. So, yes, Machogu, Cabinet Secretary for Education, it is time that you wake up and do better. And even this issue of the JSS teachers, Mr. Speaker, if Machogu is not able, Mr. Speaker, some of us, we can step in and assist him. So we are just saying that he needs to take his job seriously, even in Tana River. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mutinda, Tabitha.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to comment on the statement by Senator George Mbugua on the status of the tourism sector, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the tourism sector is a sector that brings high levels of income in this country, amounting to close to over 400 billion in this country. But during the COVID period time, we faced challenges as a country and many other countries across the world. But now, where we are, and narrowing back to our country as Kenya, you realize we have hotels. Case example, Hilton Hotel, Intercontinental Hotel, the KICC building. We have also Mombasa Beach Hotel that have closed down, leading to unemployment and many other challenges that come with the same, Mr. Speaker. At the same time, issues of lost investments in these particular hotels, because as we speak today, I don't know what is happening with the Intercontinental Hotel. It was closed down. We would want to know, yes, who's the current owner, the way forward, because these are great investments in our country that have high incomes, Mr. Speaker. So I do support this statement, and we hope it will be expedited, because these are areas that people have lost jobs, and this is a very high income area. Further to that, there's also the statement by Senator Wahome, Wamatinga, in terms of the visa-free issue. Yes, it's very key. It's very important for us to note the data and how much revenue it has used. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Let's get the statement under 57-1, Deputy Majority Leader.
The leader. Listen to the leader. Statement by the Senate Majority Leader on the business of the Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, 28 May 2024, pursuant to Standing Order 57-1. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 57-1, I hereby present the business of the Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, 28 May 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, the status of legislative business before the Senate is as follows. 42 bills are pending conclusion in the Senate, of which 38 are at the second reading stage, while 4 are the committee of the whole stage. 15 motions are pending conclusion. 17 petitions are due for reporting by the representing standing committees, and 360 statements are pending before the respective standing committees. During the afternoon sitting of the Senate held on Wednesday, 15th May 2024, the chairperson of the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations tabled 3 reports on petitions. I take this opportunity to laud the committee for the progress made in considering petitions referred to it and reporting thereon. I urge other standing committees to follow suit and expedite considerations of the petitions before them and table reports accordingly. Mr. Speaker, sir, in accordance with the calendar for the 3rd session, the Senate is scheduled to proceed on recess from 30th May 2024 and resume regular sittings on 25th June 2024. As senators look forward to the upcoming recess, it is important to recognize that the pending business before the Senate is still high, which also include mediation on crucial bills. This being said, I wish to implore senators to prioritize plenary sittings in the chamber in order to ensure progress is made on the business scheduled in the order paper. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Senate Business Committee will meet on Tuesday, 28 May 2024 to consider the business for the week. The tentative business for Tuesday will include business not concluded from today's order paper, as well as the business indicated in the notice paper, which include bills at the second reading stage and motions. The tentative business for Wednesday, 29th May 2024, morning sitting will include the schedule of questions as approved by the Senate Business Committee, as well as motions. The summary of the questions is as follows. Question number 021 to the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning by Senator Edwin Sifuna. Question number 037 to the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs by Senator Boni Halwale. Question number 040 to the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs by Senator Tom Ojienda. Questions number 057 to the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry by Senator Tom Ojienda. Question number 060 to the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning by Senator Catherine Muma. And question number 072 to the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry by Senator James Murango. Mr. Speaker, sir, the business for Wednesday, 29th May 2024 afternoon sitting will include business not concluded in the order paper for Tuesday, 28th May 2024, and the following. Bills at the second reading stage. The Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, Senator Bills number 40 of 2023. The Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 46 of 2023. The Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 49 of 2023. The Local Content Bill, Senate Bill number 50 of 2023. The Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 53 of 2023. And the Early Childhood Education Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 54 of 2023. The projected business for Tuesday 30th May 2024 will be business not concluded in the order paper for Tuesday 28th May, Wednesday 29th May, and any other business scheduled by the Senate Business Committee. I thank you and hereby lay the statement on the table of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Deputy Majority Leader. Let's go to the next order.
Order number 8, the Law of Succession Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 20 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Law of Succession Act and for connected purposes.
So, Honorable Senators, I want to reorganize the order paper. These orders appearing as number 9 to 17 are defined. We go to order number 18.
Order number 18, the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 45 of 2022, second reading.
Senator Samson Chelagay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this indulgence to move Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment Bill number 2 of 2022. So, Speaker, all of us are aware that the biggest challenge in this country, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of cancer. If you are not a victim, you are associated with it. And I know a number of members of the Senate during the weekend, either they are doing fundraiser to pay hospital bills, which cancer is one of the expensive, Mr. Speaker. Either they are in WhatsApp groups, Arambe. Majority of the Arambes we do, Mr. Speaker, is on cancer cases. Mr. Speaker, and it is across the country, Mr. Speaker, and this disease continues to ravage and kill our people. The sad thing about cancer, Mr. Speaker, is it does not only kill a person, but it impoverishes families. There are many families who lose their loved ones and lose resources because it's expensive to treat cancer, Mr. Speaker. I think the reforms in NHIF should give, and I know before we have had a discussion on this, on treatment of cancer across the country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, cancer is the third leading cause of death in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. You are aware, for example, in 2020, 42,000 cases of cancer were reported in Kenya. In the same period, 27,000 cancer-related deaths, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, as far as the statistics of Ministry of Health, there are counties that lead with cancer deaths, related complications, that is Nairobi, Kiambu, and Nakuru, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, the challenges in cancer continues to bedevil us in one way or another. Apart from financial distress to the families, Mr. Speaker, it continues to affect us. I know a number of members, even of parliament, who have diagnosed with cancer and they are on cancer treatment. So, Speaker, cancer eats the body and its resources of a family. Most people travel to India or other developed countries for cancer treatment, and it is millions and millions of shillings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with the modern era of technology, I'm aware Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Mr. Speaker, in 2023, have a pilot project of artificial intelligence that is trying to treat cancer, Mr. Speaker. The essence of this amendment in Section 2, Mr. Speaker, is the import of e-medicine and telemedicine in terms of diagnosis, treatment, and possible prevention of cancer in the country. Telemedicine, Mr. Speaker, means introduction of electronic way of engagement, Mr. Speaker. For example, in my teaching and referral hospital, for example, you go there and you do teleconference through e-medicine and telemedicine, Mr. Speaker, with your consultant maybe in India. And in fact, they can guide the doctors in Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital and also Kenyatta National Hospital and all our facilities, be it Aga Khan, Nairobi Hospital, Mr. Speaker, and this has been done. What we are trying to do is to entrench in the law. We are trying to amend the Cancer Prevention Act, Mr. Speaker. That is the act that is number CAP 246B, as revised in 2012, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the issue of telemedicine, we need to incorporate as a country so that you also prevent people traveling to India or any other parts of the world. And I know medical tourism has become one of the biggest revenue for the people of India among other nations, Mr. Speaker. For example, Eldoret's pride has become one of the cities, hospital cities, because you find a number of them. So, Speaker, I'm aware there is a new CEO by the name Dr. Kirwa at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we are aware that these referral hospitals must be updated. Even counties, this is a challenge to counties to do telemedicine, Mr. Speaker. Even at KNH, I know there are crises at KNH, Mr. Speaker, because there are allegations that EACC investigating the CEO of KNH, but we want to challenge our referral facilities to borrow on telemedicine in terms of dealing with Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the projection, Mr. Speaker, the cancer cases from 2012 to 2020 annually has increased from 37,000 to 47,887, Mr. Speaker. And this artificial intelligence will continue. Mr. Speaker, I will tell you, people when they're doing ACL or any other procedure, Mr. Speaker, they are using the current mode of engagement in terms of ensuring that you are able to see. Mr. Speaker, there are many prominent people that have died out of cancer, Mr. Speaker. And one of them I have mentioned before, and you know, and you know cancer does not select the family, does not select the age, it does not select who you are, it kills you. And you know, Mr. Speaker, normally the reggae icon Bob Marley died out of cancer at the age of 36. There are many people who have died, Mr. Speaker, because of cancer, Mr. Speaker. So this issue of e-health means the combined use of electronic communication and information technology in the health sector. Telemedicine, Mr. Speaker, means the provision of healthcare services and sharing of medical knowledge over distance using telecommunication and includes consultative, diagnostic, and treatment services. So what we are trying to do, Mr. Speaker, is just to amend Section 2 to ensure when you go, Mr. Speaker, before a doctor, your consultant, you can go when you are somewhere in Garissa, County Referral Hospital, and you can engage your doctor in KNH or MTRH, Mr. Speaker, or even outside the country. So, Speaker, promote the use of e-health and telemedicine for prevention and management of persons with cancer, and promote treatment of persons with cancer as component of primary health care. Mr. Speaker, on this, it's very simple. In my opening remarks, cancer continues to be the greatest third killer in the country. And therefore, we must, I'm not saying only cancer, we must put in place, Mr. Speaker, in place necessary mechanisms to put in place, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the e-health strategy is anchored on the achievement of Vision 2030, whose overall goal is health to have an equitable and affordable health care of the highest achievable standards. Mr. Speaker, the reading of our Constitution, Mr. Speaker, is very clear on the access. And in fact, this should have started with my submission, Mr. Speaker. When you read, Mr. Speaker, on Article 43 on economic and social rights, 1A, it talks to the highest attainable standards of health, which includes the right to health care services, including reproductive health care, Mr. Speaker. So what we are saying is implementing the Article 43 on economic and social rights, access to attainable, highest, in fact, the Constitution is very specific, highest attainable standards of health. So what we are just doing is to make sure the health care is accessible, it's practicable, Mr. Speaker. You don't need to buy a air ticket to fly to India or America or anywhere. You contact that hospital that you want to engage, and your consultant here in Nairobi or even in Kapsabet or any other counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this with an emphasis that we have invested so much in ICT infrastructure. In the country, we are laying the cable across the country. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is one of the biggest access to internet apart from South Africa in Africa, Mr. Speaker. Access to internet. And therefore, we must use internet. I know, Mr. Speaker, the president has been pushing for ICT apps in more than 290 constituencies, Mr. Speaker. Even a place called Taptengele in Tindred sub-county, where young people are going there in that tertiary college and work online, Mr. Speaker. If we can work online to earn money, Mr. Speaker, from Taptengele, in Kaiboi, across the nation, Mr. Speaker, it means there is a possibility of using telemedicine and e-health as part of the, Mr. Speaker. So if we have to attain, as per Article 43(1)(a), the highest standard of health, Mr. Speaker, is known. And it comes as a backdrop. Mr. Speaker, the other day, and I want to thank, I wish Senator Boni Khalwale was here. I want to thank the head of public service, Felix Kosgei, Cabinet Minister, Mama Waziri, Susan Akumicha, Mr. Speaker, and a retinue of government officials, including the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Labor, Florence Bore, for ensuring that the issue of industrial action or the doctor strike was amicably resolved, Mr. Speaker. I am aware, and I want to challenge the same team for resolving that issue. I want to challenge the same team that now that, Mr. Speaker, the laboratory technicians are still on strike, Mr. Speaker, and clinical officers, I wish also those issues could be addressed, because at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, we need human resource to run these hospitals. So the moment human resource within the health sector is in dire strains, Mr. Speaker, and that is a clarion call to Council of Governors, that as they say, in the highest possible point, somewhere in Mount Everest, Mr. Speaker, and we send our condolences to a number of people who have lost their lives while trying to climb Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen. As they try and go to the highest point of Mount Everest and tell the country, health is devolved, they should also walk the talk by ensuring, Mr. Speaker, they look at it, they also address human rights, human resource, and ensure our doctors, our clinicians, our laboratory technicians, our clinical officers are well remunerated in terms of access, Mr. Speaker. So the issue of ICT, Mr. Speaker, will create employment and ensure that there are factors in it, Mr. Speaker. I'll run through because in the interest of time and allow my colleagues to contribute. Mr. Speaker, with the national ICT policy and in-government and e-government strategy, we now have citizen services. E-citizen, Mr. Speaker, nowadays you must apply everything through ICT. Are we like the ICT policy, Mr. Speaker? We must use now and ensure that we push in place, because the president is very keen with the ICT labs. Let us use, Mr. Speaker, to also prevent cancer. Mr. Speaker, through e-health, the health sector in Kenya envisions efficient, accessible, equitable, secure, and consumer-friendly healthcare services enabled by ICT. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine if you have your doctor in India, but you are being told, go to Kenyatta National Hospital or MTRH or Garissa or a Coast. Just go to Garissa County Referral Hospital, sit with your doctor, and they bring huge screens. And then your doctor is in India. One, you have saved the cost for that patient of flight tickets, air flight tickets, the accommodation they would have undertaken, the fatigue, because he's somebody who is sick, Mr. Speaker. So this one is very important, and I want to ask my colleagues to rally around it so that we also fight cancer. Mr. Speaker, the biggest challenge with the fight against cancer is late diagnosis. Late diagnosis. You have had a case. I had a friend the other day was telling me they realized cancer is at stage 4, and there is little that you can do. The patient undergoes the pain. The resources that belong to the family is few, Mr. Speaker. So at the end of the day, this e-medicine and telemedicine will assist in cutting cost of healthcare services in this country. And I hope counties will borrow. After we amend the Cancer Prevention Act, counties must put e-health and telemedicine within the infrastructure so that somebody in Abaswen can go somewhere and go to that dispensary, Mr. Speaker, and look at it. Somebody in Kapkangani, Mr. Speaker, somewhere in Mgwen, somebody maybe in Kaptumo, sub-county hospital can go there, or Kapsabet, or even MTRH, or somewhere across the country, even in Kilome, Mr. Speaker, can be able to access. Mr. Speaker, the global trends, and I've told you, even the World Health Organization has defined the issue of World Health has defined the combined use of electronic communication and information technology in the health sector. So it borrows from just e-health. So, Mr. Speaker, I know members, just for benefit of members and the debate ahead, is that e-health has already been adopted by World Health Organization. Even in the fight against COVID, Mr. Speaker, e-health was being used on telemedicine because at that time there was totally lockdown. There was less movement. So we need now to amend the law to reflect, cited, Mr. Speaker, in future, if we encountered a challenge of like COVID, where there is lockdown, Mr. Speaker, patients will not die or suffer. And you remember, even at that point, there was no admissions in hospital. You are being told, take your patients home, Mr. Speaker. And another challenge, Mr. Speaker, you know most of the patients that are in cancer or suffering from cancer, most of them and have a challenge of being taken home where you are having palliative care. Mr. Speaker, you know, somebody who is terminally ill, one of the diseases that can force you, Mr. Speaker, is terminally ill, Mr. Speaker, and palliative care becomes the only option that you have. So you can imagine if you are treating your patient at home, somewhere in my village called Kapkeben, Mr. Speaker, in Mosoriat, and you are sitting there, and you, Mr. Speaker, you are able to do teleconferencing with your doctor in terms of going, Mr. Speaker. Even in Vision 2030, I know we have moved to Vision 2050 on SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, Mr. Speaker. It becomes, Mr. Speaker, one, it will revitalize the health structure. Mr. Speaker, let me say this, you know, and we were with you when the issue of Garissa happened on health. You know, most governors think health is the hardware. It is the software, the service you get when you go and see the doctor, when you get the service. You know, most governors, even my governor, we have a newborn facility unit within Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. It has taken almost 600 million, Mr. Speaker. But the governors are busy building infrastructure as opposed as providing the service delivery. So if we have to revitalize the health structure, it is very important. It will allow service delivery. And I'm told, Mr. Speaker, nowadays, you know we are using telemedicine, by the way. Because when you are sick and you have your doctor, you can write something on WhatsApp and then they respond. It is part of the e-health that we have, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and that is my 50th point. Also, a study published in the National Library of Medicine shows that AI can also help in diagnosis in such a way it's precision. Mr. Speaker, where AI, Mr. Speaker, I hope you have been, all of us in Kenya, sometimes, and I know there are cases in KMPDU, where wrong diagnosis has been prescribed and even lives have been lost. Where you go to an hospital, you receive the wrong prescription, you get the wrong drugs, Mr. Speaker, wrong diagnosis, and you end up dying. And I know, Mr. Speaker, if we introduce the artificial intelligence and telemedicine and e-health, Mr. Speaker, we will be precise, like the eye of a military marksman, Mr. Speaker. That is the precision when the artificial intelligence will come in place, Mr. Speaker. So that we don't do guesswork. Mr. Speaker, you go and say, you know, where I come from, they say, you know, the elderly people don't describe. They say, I feel the thing of the heart. The heart, they can't describe. They call it in my language, so at the end of the day, it becomes a challenge when they go to see the doctor. So the doctor asks, what is this thing of the heart? So with the AI, Mr. Speaker, it will ensure there is a military precision. And I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, you are resonating with what I'm saying because also all of our people will be described. But with the issue of AI, Mr. Speaker, it will ensure we use the precision of a military marksman to ensure, Mr. Speaker, and for us who work sniper movies, we know the essence of precision. When you work sniper movies, Mr. Speaker, in a number of either Netflix or Amazon or any other place, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this has been used, in fact, oncology artificial intelligence startup monitor. Mr. Speaker, I request, and I hope the Senator of Kisumu was here, I don't know how far Jaramogi Oginga Hospital has proceeded with the issue of artificial intelligence. I hope the problems that Nakuruwa Memorial Hospital are having would be resolved soon so that we can introduce AI, because I can see my leader is very keen, especially on telemedicine, and he helped herself. I hope she's seeing it in terms of service. You know, she's an entrepreneurial lady. Maybe she's asking herself where the money can come from. But anyway, that's a story for another day, Mr. Speaker. This has led to 60% off-duty oncology calls by enabling patients to interact directly with AI-driven system, real-time monitoring. Oncologists assess patient symptoms and be able to interpret, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have, and World Health Organization is encouraging countries to do this. I hope yesterday, Mr. Speaker, you know USAID, as the president is in the US, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy yesterday, you know, my brother, Senator Sifuna, had asked why part of the delegation of the government was in the country. But you know, in our culture, you leave the son or the daughter you trust to take care of the home. You don't go with them away. But Mr. Speaker, curiously, and I would have wished Senator Sifuna was here without prejudicial of standing under 101. I saw yesterday Azimio issued a statement that they are also part of delegation that go to the US. And I've seen minority leadership. They are saying bipartisan in that team, Mr. Speaker. So but I can see, I'm aware Senator Sifuna is in the country. So it also reflects on his standing within his own party. But that is a story for another day, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on e-health patients, it will ensure timelines, communication. And I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, in your gallery, there are a number of students. We are going, I know a number of them would want to pursue medicine, Mr. Speaker. It will also be part of the learning. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, after the passage of this, even in the training of medicine among doctors, the issue of telemedicine and e-health will feature prominently going into the future of medicine in this country. Mr. Speaker, some of the key results of the foremost common use M-Health or mobile health, the one I was using, Mr. Speaker, the another issue is telehealth or telemedicine, where you call your doctor and tell what you are feeling. It's called telemedicine, Mr. Speaker. Used to associate with computing, big data, and security, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these stakeholders continue to be involved in many of the issues that we continue to have a challenge, Mr. Speaker. And the knowledge, and I hope, you know, when changes come to a sector, Mr. Speaker, there's always resistance. I hope the medicine world, especially in Kenya, will be ready. We are not taking away the role of anybody, Mr. Speaker, but we are ensuring that we are there. Mr. Speaker, the issue of, from the National Health Survey, and I've indicated this, can you believe, Mr. Speaker, in 2021, 37.5% were using telemedicine in 12 months. All of us use, even me when I'm unwell, I call my doctor, I'm feeling this way. That is what we call telemedicine. And many Kenyans are using, 37% of the people who are using, Mr. Speaker. In fact, among women, I don't know whether women care about their health so much. Telemedicine use increased with age. And I think as you get older, you become keen. You also choose what you eat. You start eating less sugar. Mr. Speaker, you know, with the issue of nutritionists, you know, you are being told, don't take a lot of sugar, take a little salt, don't take a lot of meat, don't overdrink the other stuff, hard stuff. We have even been told, don't overdrink tea, Mr. Speaker. And you know, Jesus took wine. People are being told, no, 1 glass or 2. But I think everything is in moderation. But I'm told here, women, compared with men, 42% use telemedicine and 31.7% compared to men. So I don't know whether, you know, I always see some funny things on social media where men are normally accused of being careless about their lives and health, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, women are doing a good job in ensuring that they keep themselves healthy, Mr. Speaker. I would have expected the Deputy Majority Leader to applaud that. While TSMS refers specifically to remote clinical services, telehealth can refer to non-clinical services. Mr. Speaker, for discipline, and I think primary health care is a term of technology, Mr. Speaker. Up and short, because I don't want to go through my notes that I had prepared, Mr. Speaker. Up and short is that the cancer prevention, the issue of ensuring that we prevent cancer in this country, and I think, Mr. Speaker, it will also diagnosis We have said, and Mr. Speaker, are you aware? I don't know whether colleagues here have noticed this. Sometimes you go and see a doctor, and I have this case. You go and see a doctor, they go and do diagnosis, but they get the wrong thing. After some time, you are not told that it has metastasized into a cancerous. So with the introduction of telemedicine and artificial in services, Mr. Speaker, it will be very easy to properly detect, Mr. Speaker. And in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, there is also, and I'm happy Kenyans are industrious, and I hope students who are at the gallery, Mr. Speaker, we have Mercy S. Chipchirchir Faculty of Information Technology, Strathmore University, which is trying to come up with innovative in terms of treating cancer, Mr. Speaker. And sometimes Mr. Speaker, in the last session, we were able to visit as liaison then to Kuala Lumpur. Is that in Indonesia? Yeah, Indonesia. We were in Kuala Lumpur, Mr. Speaker. Malaysia, we visited with the liaison. Those days when I was very powerful chair of JLAC, among other colleagues, chair of Energy, the former Senator of Nyeri, former Senator of Baringo, Mr. Speaker, and a number of chairs, including our Speaker and then Speaker Kenneth Lusaka, the famous is it called Kwafela? I'm forgetting the name that is nicknamed in the village. And we went there, Mr. Speaker, and after some time, we went and visited the doctor, and they told us, Mr. Speaker, if your family's DNA is predisposed to cancer, you should at least take regular checkups within a year. And we met the former DCI, the current ambassador there. I think the call of duty is coming to an end, Ndegwa Muoro. And he took us, and we were able to check, and they check as per the body. But they are using AI. In fact, when I did I almost say ultrasound. I think ultrasound is done for women who are pregnant. Or can it be done to men also? Then there is, I don't know, the one that they use, Mr. Speaker, to check your internal organs. And you are able to see. You can decide to have your rest of the lower part to be paralyzed or the upper part, or you can go into anesthesia, or you watch how your body organs look like. And you can see from the screen when you are in the hospital, Mr. Speaker. I think that is the future, Mr. Speaker. Even myself, when I had operation of ACL, after we were elected with your father in the first session, Senator Haji Senior, you know, Mr. Speaker, I had your colleague Speaker referring me to Junior in this house. If I served with your dad, I'm a very senior person in the ranking member of this house, Mr. Speaker. And at that time, Mr. Speaker, they should note that, Mr. Speaker. And I'm now currently serving with you, and God has been faithful. So, Mr. Speaker, looking at that aspect, we were able to discuss and be able, Mr. Speaker, health, Mr. Speaker, in all general, health continues to be the biggest spending to many families, Mr. Speaker. Health budget, apart from food, 60% of any household income in this country is spent on food. The next spending of our family is health, Mr. Speaker. We must do something at health. Even as the president is reforming the issue of NHIF, the counties must take the lead, Mr. Speaker. You saw my county, allegedly, instead of counties becoming a source of protection, Mr. Speaker, somebody was attempted rape within Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. Where will our women and girls run to? You also, allegations of sexual offenses in your hospital at Kapsabet, Karisa County Hospital, Referral Hospital, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, we have been fair. We have amended Facilities Improvement Act to allow hospitals to spend at own source revenue there. So we expect a better health services at Mashinani, in Kobujoy, in Kapsengere, in Mosoriot, in Kabiyet, in Chepterwai, Mr. Speaker. We expect even in Marmanet, in Keringet, Mr. Speaker, in anywhere, even in Karisa, because now counties don't have a reason. We have given them to spend under Section 2122 of the Facilities Improvement Act that the President signed in 2023. So they will not say there is no fuel for ambulance. Because in Nandi, you have to pay 2,000 or 5,000 to get an ambulance to be taken to referral hospital. You go to the hospital, you have been told there is no medicine. But now we have given them to collect through cost sharing and spend at that point, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, finally on the amendment of the institute, this cancer, the institute shall collaborate with the national government department responsible for health to promote training of human resource for oncology services. Mr. Speaker, you have seen the challenge of IFIMIS. You now have had a privilege of sitting in public accounts for some time now. When IFIMIS and IPPD was introduced, most counties are grappling with it. And that is why Ministry of Treasury has been able to put in place necessary mechanisms for training and capacity, Mr. Speaker. So this one, in this institute, the reason we are amending Section 31, Mr. Speaker, is to create a bipartisan, Mr. Speaker. I agree that health is devolved, Mr. Speaker, but also we must ensure as we devolve health, Mr. Speaker, is we need collaboration, because in as much as national government, and you can see the fourth schedule, the work of the national government is standard policy and standards that is being passed. The soft part is for national government. But the real deal of implementing the issue of health services, Mr. Speaker, is on the aspect of national government. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to call my colleagues. No one is clawing back devolution, because I know people will be asking, why are you saying you collaborate with the national government? Because they have capacity. We have referral hospitals. They have money. They set standards, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, on this cancer prevention amendment, I just wanted to do a lot of, I know I'm not an expert in this field, but I felt that the issue of cancer prevention control should be an issue. Mr. Speaker, we want to ensure that as a country, we speak the language of the people who continue to suffer, violating Article 43 because of cancer. Cancer is a dangerous killer disease that we must put concerted efforts as a country and proper resource, human resource, infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, going to the future. I have told you one of the icons that I normally celebrate, Mr. Speaker. You can imagine at 36, Bob Marley died out of cancer. If today he was still alive, what would be say, apart from singing One Love, apart from singing so many? I think Peter Tosh, if I'm right, also died because of cancer-related complications, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we must, as a country, ensure, I know our artist here, Senator Crystal, is excited that I know music. I know she might be one of the guru in music, and she wants, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, by the way, are you aware I attended her launch? Are you aware I attended her launch at Ngong Road when she was launching one of the best albums, Mr. Speaker? But I want to encourage her, since I'm a fan of reggae, he should start singing reggae so that some of us can listen to Rastafarianism. Okay,
do you want to be informed, Senator Cherargei?
Yes.
Yes, Senator Crystal Osigi.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for this opportunity to inform Senator Cherargei of a fact that he may have not been aware of before this moment, which is, Chair, that yes, as an award-winning musician myself, I have many albums and many songs that I have composed and produced, and it will be of great enjoyment, perhaps, for the Senator to know that one of my upcoming albums will be a reggae album. And I would hope that he would also attend that launch of that particular album. And I will be inviting any member of parliament who enjoys reggae music, because we cannot stop reggae music. I appreciate it.
Mr. Speaker, that was useful information. Mr. Speaker, I hope I have attended. I'll also be able to attend, and I want to encourage colleagues. No one can stop reggae. I know people of BBI use that one, but the BBI was stopped, but not reggae, Mr. Speaker. reggae is a way of life. The BBI was stopped, but reggae was not stopped, Mr. Speaker. So reggae will continue. I hope to listen to that album when you will be launching. And I hope Senator Mwenda Gataya, who is used to listening rumba and Kanda Bongo Man songs, can be able to attend, so that we can teach him the way of Rastafarianism, Mr. Speaker. And people who listen to Kapuka and many other songs. Mr. Speaker, yes, of course, we are aware it has not stopped, Mr. Speaker. You know, Senator Kataya Mwenda Mwofire listens only to Kanda Bongoman and Rumba songs, but we want to encourage him. You know, there are people who listen to Kapuka, there are others nowadays that they will listen to major songs. This major, there is a young man that normally sings, Mr. Speaker. I know Senator Crystal understands. And in fact, your visitors, Mr. Speaker, also in their generation have how they listen to their songs, Mr. Speaker. It becomes also, it behooves all of us, especially with the era of TikTok. And I hope, Senator Crystal, you will share your presentation on TikTok and social media so that we can listen. You know, this generation, Gen Z, only listen, who are seated up there, only listen through TikTok. Your Facebook, I'm being told it is over. Mr. Speaker, the aspect I'm trying to conclude in the issue of Cancer Institute is we must ensure we give necessary resources, Mr. Speaker, going into the future. We put resources through Cancer Institute, but I'm hesitant, Mr. Speaker. Do you know this issue of boards continues to be a problem, Mr. Speaker? Continues to be a problem in terms of boards. But my only concern, Mr. Speaker, let us ensure we put in place Cancer Institute, we give resources, Mr. Speaker, and ensure that in the partnership, and I know there is many funding, Mr. Speaker, in terms of partnership, Mr. Speaker, we ensure, Mr. Speaker, that we put enough resources as per aspiration of Section 31. Because when you read the reading of Section 31, Mr. Speaker, this Cancer Institute is very critical. Because we want to do research, Mr. Speaker. For example, in Bomet, or I don't know whether it was Bomet, people are alluding that some of us who drink mursik that is mixed with some, and I know Senator Ezen understands, that we drink, it is called mursik, mala. They sometimes mix with a special tree. And people have been saying, you know, there was an argument, Mr. Speaker, saying areas where people drink tea. You know, the other day we were celebrating International Tea Drinkers. Not drinkers, International Tea Day. The temperature sometimes is too high, maybe it's causing throat cancer. So we need Cancer Institute to tell us why, for example, Kiambu, Nairobi, and Nakuru, where Senator Deputy Majority Leader comes from, is leading in cancer, so that we don't create wrong perception. Why is it so? The Cancer Institute must be given necessary resources to do the research, so that we understand why we are losing over 27,000 Kenyans every year through cancer. Mr. Speaker, why is it so? How do we ensure that we put place, Mr. Speaker? That is the Cancer Institute. When you look under Section 31, Mr. Speaker, you know, Mr. Speaker, this is one of the Mr. Speaker, technical subject. So we must put more resources to cancer. And I want to challenge, Mr. Speaker, National Assembly, as they appropriate budget for ministries. The reason, Mr. Speaker, and I want to say this passionately, the reason Senate today wants 415 billion to be added to counties, against 390-something that was proposed National Assembly, is to have enough resources to fight cancer in our villages, Mr. Speaker. Our people are painfully suffering. Yet out of 4.2 trillion Kenyan shillings, only we are requesting for 415 billion to go to counties to assist in the provision of healthcare in this republic. Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge, and I'm happy, I have seen a number of mediation committee members, that they should not move an inch, but ensure that 415 billion is in place, Mr. Speaker. That is what I wanted to move and ensure that we agree, Mr. Speaker, that as a Senate, the reason we are pushing more resources is to ensure that we put in place the necessary health, Mr. Speaker. With very many remarks, and I want to say, I know I have 1 hour, I know I still have 30 minutes to go, but I want to end there and allow my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, to also be able to contribute. This is, I expect all senators, and I'll be patient to listen, on the issue of cancer prevention. Mr. Speaker, the issue of cancer is a serious problem. When you go to Kisii, where Senator Gloria Orwoba comes from, I can assure you Senator Gloria Orwoba might be in 50 WhatsApp groups fundraising for cancer, pensions, or any other. So, Speaker, with those very many remarks, allow me to invite the Vice Chairperson of Senate Finance and Budget Committee and Nairobi delegation, Senator Tabitha Mutinda. I know there were many Tabitas, but the one and only Senator Tabitha Mutinda to second. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senate, what's your point of order, Gloria?
Mr. Speaker, and Standing Order 1, I just want to pass information, Mr. Speaker. This is a very important bill, and we probably are supporting it, Mr. Speaker, but we have highlighted the issue of our order paper, always prioritizing bills from the National Assembly when the senators who are sitting here have so many bills that are pending and that are being queued, Mr. Speaker. I have raised this issue with the Senate Business Committee, and Mr. Speaker, it is very demoralizing that we come here as senators and we are just running business from National Assembly, Mr. Speaker. So even as we debate this, and hence the reason why you can see the lethargy in the House, it is not that we don't support the content of the issue of the bill. It is just that the senators in the House have got so much pending business. I know that our senator here, our Matangi, he has had a motion that has been pending for over 3 weeks that has not even been put in the order paper, Mr. Speaker. So I just want to urge the Senate Business Committee to consider that this is the upper house, the Senate itself and the senators have got business that we would like prioritized, Mr. Speaker, on the order paper. Myself, this is Menstrual Hygiene Month. We are celebrating May 28th, Menstrual Hygiene Day, next week on Tuesday. My bill has been sitting in the National Assembly for 1 year, pending concurrence, Mr. Speaker. Yet in this house, we are prioritizing the National Assembly business, Mr. Speaker. I just want to put it out that it is not that we don't support this, but it is disappointing for members, and hence even when we were trying to tell Cherargei to cut short his comments, it's because it is a bill that we would like to discuss after we have prioritized our bills in the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gloria. I think we have members from SPC here, Senator Tabitha being majority leader, and Senator Tabitha Mutinda being also in the SPC. So we will leave that matter to SPC, and they will provide information to the Speaker, who should give a ruling on your point of order, Senator Gloria. Thank you. Before this motion is second, I have a message from the Chair. Honorable Senators, in the public gallery, we have 156 students and 3 teachers from Moi High School, Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County, who are undertaking an education visit in the Senate. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senators, I will give an opportunity to 2 senators to welcome the students. I will give Senator Crystal Asige to welcome the senators, because among the 156 students, there are several students who are people with disability, and I think our very own VIP should be the person to give them a word of welcome. And I will also allow Senator Professor Margaret Kamar to also say 1 or 2 things to welcome the students. Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for the opportunity to welcome the delegation from Moi High School here this afternoon. I, of course, understand what it is like to be a young student with dreams and ambitions moving forward. And of course, trips like these to Houses of Parliament, like here in Nairobi, are very important for you to be able to see a glimpse of what may be in your future if you decide to become a leader in this country and represent your counties and your country at large. I also want, Chair, to give a special thanks and a special welcome to the students with disabilities who decided to also join the delegation and be a part of this very important experience in the Senate. To them who are here, our learners with disabilities, I am the senator in the Senate that represents PWDs, women and youth, because I am all of those three things. I'm a PWD myself, visually impaired, I'm a woman, and I am a youth, just like some of you are. And I just wanted to inform them that I have several bills with you in mind specifically so that your futures can be ensured as inclusive and as equitable as possible, so that you don't have to struggle like I had to struggle when I was a learner at your age in Mombasa County, trying to, fight discrimination and stereotypes and non-inclusive environments so that I can at least get an education and come to this place where I am today. I have the PWD bill, which I am sponsoring. I have the Learners with Disabilities bill, which I am sponsoring with my colleague behind me, Senator Kamar, and the Kenyan Sign Language bill as well that I'm sponsoring. And I hope you will be able to engage with those bills, even though they might be a little bit complicated with the language, but your teachers will definitely support you in trying to understand what they will do for you in future once passed by the executive. So I thank you again. Welcome to the Senate. And remember, especially to the PWDs in the group, that this mountain has been given to you so that you can show others that it can be moved. So feel encouraged and pursue your education with everything that you have, because you never know what is in the future. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Professor Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to welcome the girls from Eldoret. Mr. Speaker, I'm an old girl of Moi Girls Eldoret. I was in Moi Girls when it was Highlands. That was 1977, 78, before their mothers were born. And I want to encourage them that the sky is not the limit when it comes to education. I want to congratulate them first for getting the opportunity to go to that wonderful school. I have interacted with your teachers, and I know that you are set for higher grounds. Like the Highlands, which was before, has produced leaders, it has produced professionals of all kinds. So you have the opportunity to be anything that you want to be because of the way that school has been designed. You have a swimming pool for relaxation, but more than anything, you have wonderful houses. I was in Sergoit myself, and I want to encourage you to use every minute that you are in school. Girls from that school, Mr. Speaker, are girls who wake up and run. They don't just walk. They run when they don't lazy themselves, and I want to encourage them that any behavior that you calculate in high school follows you for the rest of your life. I am here as an example that when I got molded in high school, I became who I am. So I want to encourage you that you can be anything. You can be a member of parliament like I was. You can be a senator like I am today. You can be a minister like I was. So you have everything. Those of us who are alumni of that school are proud, and we want to encourage you and your teachers to push on, and you have what it takes to be the best. Thank you for coming, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome them on behalf of my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Professor Kamar. Seconder, you can move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let me start by putting myself on record that I do rise to second this particular bill, the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment Bill that is being co-sponsored by Senator Cherargei, yes, from the National Assembly. And before I proceed further, Mr. Speaker, let me acknowledge and state that the sentiments that have been mentioned in terms of prioritization of Senate bills, I agree with it. It's very important. But it's also good to note, a case like yesterday, you as a speaker, you were seated on your seat there, And with the help of those, the clerks here, you had to amend the order paper because almost 3 bills, if I remember correctly, had to be skipped because the owners were not present. And I think actually today I've seen also you stated before this House that you have to rearrange the order paper. So I'd also want to urge colleagues, in the event that prioritization of our bills on the order paper, also let us make an effort to be able to ensure we remove them from the order paper by ensuring that we are on the floor and try to discuss them. I support the element that Senate bills should be prioritized, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, embarking on the amendment that talks about the e-health as far as the cancer prevention is concerned, Mr. Speaker, there are 2 keywords that come aboard, that is prevention and control. Like a medical student, Mr. Speaker, I did my first practice, medical industry was pharmacy. I have dispensed, and I'm still in a position to continue to dispense and prescribe and read a prescription, Mr. Speaker. I pride in having interacted with patients and having had the opportunity to be able to offer my medical services at that particular level. And when we talk about prevention and control, it's very, very key, because at the dispensing level of a prescription, it is at a point now that you're doing a treatment. But if a prevention had been done probably earlier, then maybe a patient does not need to get to the level of that particular treatment at that particular time. Focusing on the issue of the e-health, it brings about the digital aspect. Mr. Speaker, as a digital ambassador of ICDL in this country, I advocate for digital services, digital transformations, an ideology that also the Kenya Kwanza government supports, and it's in one of our priority manifestos. Through the CS Owalo in the Ministry of ICT, we've also been able to see quite a number of improvements of the digital services, from about 300 government services to about over 15,000 government services on the e-platform, Mr. Speaker, which is a great stride and a great improvement. And so when it comes to the issue of the medical industry, it is also a very key aspect that all hospitals should be able to adapt, both public and also private. It's a very important technology at this particular time and era, because you look at where we are. It is through our gadgets that we use, be it a laptop, be it the mobile phone, that really has enhanced quick responses, quick communication, and the speedy responses as far as use of these gadgets is concerned. And so when it comes to this particular amendment of e-health, then it plays a very key role when we acknowledge that the digital services or the digital gadgets that we have and use play a very key role. We can also not only use them to make payments the way we see and make money transactions. We have M-Pesa, which has really changed lives, both at personal level and at business level. M-Pesa has come and transformed the money industry. It's a paperless money industry, Mr. Speaker, which has helped families, business people to be able to save a lot of time. Security when it comes to money matters, because you can be able to, put your money in a digital form and you are able to transact. So it is in this transformation, with the case example of M-Pesa, then we should be able to open up and allow for this change. And Mr. Speaker, as a student of business, you know that change comes with a lot of difficulty, not only in organizations, but also to individuals who before they believe that this can be done like this. We've been in a setup of, in a bigger percentage, believing that the traditional way of doing things is sort of the best way, and having a feel that this is the only way to get the best results, because there is that mentality that you have to physically go and see a doctor so that you can feel that you've really gotten the medical treatment that you deserve. But times have changed. The same way you don't really need to go to a bank and check your bank balance, but you can use your phone with the many digital platforms that we have on banking and be able to check your balance. You can be able to make bank transfers. The same way you can be able to liaise and communicate to a doctor or a medical practitioner to be able to indicate your illness, and you can be able to get guidance actually on time. And this brings about the title of the bill, which talks about prevention. Because then if you don't use the speedy mode of technology, it might delay and bring about much more issues later, Mr. Speaker. And that is because you look at cancer. Cancer, Mr. Speaker, comes in different stages. There's stage 1, there's stage 2, stage 3, and stage 3 and 4, which are very, very critical, and they're said to be the stages that you're almost at your final stages. But if you are able to note the issue of cancer at an early stage, then it becomes easier to be able to get medication at an early time. Or even if you've not really have the cancer cells, but at least you can be able to know, then how do I prevent in the event that you have symptoms that are sort of leading or showing that this could be the case. And if it's not the case, then you're in a position to be well advised medically on how to prevent this particular disease, Mr. Speaker. So in matters of technology and e-health, as far as technology of ICT is concerned, is very critical. And I want to urge that the education, the universities, because mostly for you to be a fully pledged medical practitioner, more so a doctor, you have to be a graduate from the recognized university in this country or any other that is recognized worldwide as far as matters medical are concerned, so that you can be able to be certified and be able to practice as a medical doctor. It's at this point, with the discussion of the e-health, it's very important that doctors at this particular time not only concentrate with the theory part of it and the practical part of it, but also start doing the studies of ICT. And one of the easiest and one of the things, of course, I champion is certification of ICDL. ICDL is an internationally recognized certificate that as you pursue your doctorate degree, you can be able to acquire. And this actually should be mandatory during the studies of medical studies, all sectors, be it you're doing even a lab technician, you're doing pharmacy, nursing, all that range, nutritionist, all that range within the medical industry, then having certification of to be certified as an ICT knowledgeable person, both the knowledge and the practicability of it is very important, Mr. Speaker, because we cannot achieve e-health if then we do not have doctors or medical practitioners who do not even understand the basics of an ICT gadget, the basics of how to use the technology, the basics, Mr. Speaker, on how to use the different apps that are available, be it for logging in to be able to communicate with your doctor as far as a consultation is concerned, be it being able to access your prescription, being able to access a pharmaceutical or a chemist to be able to be dispensed and get the same drugs, Mr. Speaker. Let me state that also within the pharmaceutical sector, there comes also telesales. Mr. Speaker, telesales has been there. As I said, I've practiced pharmacy, and business and transactions have been done through what we call telesales. So telesales has been there, but what has not been there and really emphasized has been the e-health factor, telemedicine factor, which plays a very key role, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to touch on the issue of disbursement of funds by Treasury. I'm talking from the perspective of why, as a committee of finance, we came about and settled on the 415 billion, Mr. Speaker. As I said before, these are not just figures we just wake up as finance team and just put in place. They've been brought about by different factors. Factors that range from the issue of the inflation costs, the commercial interest rates, Mr. Speaker, as well as the cost of the CHPs, the cost of the health, like you've seen. We've seen doctors having, been on strike from the different departments that they belong to, and you know very well health is devolved. So the justification of the Senate for the 415 is to ensure that the bigger chunk, because we are coming from 385, and the topper for the 415, one of the key areas that this committee, our committee was able to consider was because of this costs that are more medical. Look at the role that the CHPs are doing. They are able to go door to door. The government, through the Ministry of Health, has also equipped the CHPs in the different counties so that they are able to assist people, sort them and help them at an early time. Because I've always said, and I've always championed, a healthy nation, a wealthy nation, Mr. Speaker. And looking at my studies back and remembering the undergrad that most of us have done, and looking at the pastel factors that range from the political stability, the economic stability, the social, technological, legal aspect, and a conducive environment, there's nothing that stops this country, you know, being able to ensure that we have the e-health, putting in mind that the factors that have been able to state are all in place. They are all at a well-placed position. There are no issues. Even from a social perspective, we are now socializing digitally. We are now using the digital technology to be able to do a lot, even if it comes to the Amazon app, to be able to make purchases, among many others, Mr. Speaker. What we've not really prioritized, and I'm backing it up, is the issue of the e-health service, because all these other things I've sorted, like, for example, transport issues. We have the Uber sector, that from where I'm sitting, I'm just able to get my transport from point A to point B because there's availability of the Uber, because the technology is in place. As I've said, the banking sector, I'm able to sit down and do my transaction. I can be able to pay for my goods from where I'm seated, and many other across that as far as the technology is concerned. But as far as the health part is concerned, we've really lagged behind, but this bill comes at a very good time because the e-health factor is a very key and important factor, Mr. Speaker. I don't want to ignore the issue of the they're called attachees or interns that have been mentioned earlier. Interns play a key role, and for us, as a country, with the education system that we have, it requires our students in the upper learning level to undergo the theoretical part of studies, and then also to have an opportunity to practice and to be able to understand how the industry works. I remember during my studies as a pharmacy student, by then, before I changed my career, Mr. Speaker, I had to do internship. I had to do an attachment. Then without that, I could not qualify to be able to move to the final level, to be able to graduate if I've not been able to do internship. So internship plays a key role. So the matters of interns, the JSCC team that I've had today, I mean, all these things should be just consolidated, because then how do we have competent personnel, either from the legal sector, either from the medical sector, and any other sector, if we do not allow them to be much more practical and be able to perform by giving them opportunities, and those opportunities do not come free. They need to be paid. I'm happy because Parliament has been fair. It gives young people an opportunity to be interns, to have attachment in this institution of Parliament. And I'm happy because Parliament pays them. It is not free. There are institutions whereby you're just an attachee, but there's no single coin. It is still an expenditure to you. But Parliament does remunerate the students, and it's a good plus. So the same should be emulated to also our other people the lab technicians, the other students that are within these industries. I'm seeing my time is up, Mr. Speaker. I seem to have a lot, but now I'll just try and sum it up and say that it is the high time we adapt. And I want to urge the mediation committee that had been set in place to defend the 415 for governors. We've seen the National Assembly on matters of CDF, their monies have actually been increased. The monies that we are asking for governors to be able to receive, most of these monies, and actually the bigger chunk of the additional fund that we gave is mostly going to the health sector, putting in mind that health is devolved. It is very sad, Mr. Speaker, to be entering into the premises of Parliament, and once you meet our young people, our medics, who play a very key role. There's no way you go to a hospital and you just see directly the doctor. You have a channel. You have to do the lab tests. You have to do different consultations before you get to the final part. So everyone within that industry plays a key role, and most of these funds are to be able to take care of our people at a lower level. Case example, the role that the CHP plays. So these monies that we allocated as a committee should be taken seriously. Mr. Speaker, during the COVID time, it was a time that the effect of COVID was a worldwide effect, Mr. Speaker. And we changed and adapted the technology of Zoom very fast. So an indication that we don't have really to wait when it's critical, and then that's when we want to act. It is a high time we embrace and move away from the old formula of still having to physically go see the doctor so that you can get your medication and be able to be sorted, but we can use the technology. Mr. Speaker, I had Senator Cherargei talk about women in terms of they're the ones who really have the highest percentage when it comes to taking care of their health. It is very true, Mr. Speaker. Men have really lagged behind when it comes to the issues of health, because the rate of ignorance of even a small headache, it's very high, Mr. Speaker. And
your normal programming to bring you a historic event that is currently happening 13,713 kilometers away in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America, given that President William Ruto is about to conclude his 4-state-day visit, a historical one in that particular country. Remember, the last time Kenya was in the Washington, D.C. was back in 2003, and that was later President Mwai Kibaki. Decades later, President William Ruto has been hosted by none other than his counterpart, that is President Joe Biden. Those